guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emma and I help people to heal from chronic dizziness such as PPPD. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos that can help you to heal from dizziness. And if you like the video, please like it because it will help it to reach more people. So in this video today, I'm going to share with you 7 things that in my opinion are really common in people that have PPPD, but it's things that you may not know. So I'm sharing this with you in the hope that it can provide some validation to those of you that need it. So number 1 is that symptoms quite often significantly reduce or completely disappear when people are driving in their car. Or as a passenger in the car. And this is something that I experienced. So I would feel really, really dizzy, and then as soon as I would get into the car, my symptoms would almost completely disappear every single time. And I thought that was really unusual, but actually now that I've spoken to so many other people with PPPD, I've discovered that that is actually really, really common. And also there are some people that maybe do feel more dizzy in the car, and I find that that's typically more towards people that have a lot of fear or anxiety around their symptoms. Maybe they've had a bad dizzy spell when they've been driving in their car. Maybe they feel fearful of driving in case they suddenly become dizzy when they're driving. And it seems to be more the fear around driving itself. And we all know that anxiety makes dizziness worse. So I would say that it's more towards those sorts of people that maybe feel worse in the car. But if you generally feel safe and in control and you're happy to drive, it's not uncommon. It's actually really common for people to find that their symptoms completely disappear. Number 2. So number 2 is that lots and lots of people with PPPD typically feel worse when they're sat still. So they could feel symptomatic when they're moving around, but they feel worse when they're sat completely still. Now, this again is something that I had, and I couldn't make sense of it because to me, the more I would move, it would make sense to feel more dizzy, whereas actually it was the opposite. So I could play sports, I could go to the gym, and I would feel some symptoms, but sometimes they were mild or sometimes they would completely go away. But for me, the most challenging thing was to sit still, whether that was, sit and have a conversation with somebody, to sit in a restaurant or a cafe. Obviously, the environment played a part there as well. But the common thing was that being sat still really triggered my symptoms. I felt like I was tilting, that I was going to sort of fall off my chair. And yeah, it was just really uncomfortable. And I find that lots and lots of people actually report the same. They feel uncomfortable, or they fidget a lot, they can't sit still. So what they do is they get up and move around, or they move their feet, they wriggle around to kind of try and find that comfort. And my advice to you, if that is you, is to try and find times when you can actually try to embrace that stillness and let your body and your brain try to figure out what's going on, because the more you get up and move around, the more you fidget, the more you fight it. You're not actually practicing stillness. You're not actually practicing being able to sit still. And although it's uncomfortable, I do believe that if you practice it often and try not to fight it or push it away, that can actually help you to improve that in time. So the reason why we actually find it more difficult to sit still is because our brains actually, they find it difficult to pick up on the small movements. So when we're sat still, we are still moving ever so slightly. So we're not giving our brain really clear indicators that we're moving. And that can be a bit more confusing for the brain. So it's actually more difficult for the brain to pick up stillness and the really slight movements than when we're moving in a more exaggerated way, like if we're running or playing sports. Number 3. So number 3 is what I believe, in my opinion, and all of the people that I speak to that have PPPD, is the most commonly reported symptom outside of the typical dizziness, and that is head fullness. So head pressure, head tension, feeling like there's a lot of overstimulation going on inside your head, headaches, and generally just sort of heavy, feeling very symptomatic up in your head, and that's kind of separate to the dizziness, or it's making the dizziness worse. And I will say, guys, on that note, I'm not a doctor. This information that I'm giving you should not replace any of the advice from your doctors. I'm simply sharing with you the experiences and stories that either come from myself or those of you that I've spoken to that have triple PD. So please, if you're worried about any of these symptoms, go and get medical clearance with your doctors first. But in my opinion, and in my experiences, I do believe that the head pressure is a really common symptom in people that have triple PD. So what can you do about that? Well, my advice to you would be to try and get as many short breaks throughout the day to try and relieve some of that pressure that's going on inside your head. So find a quiet area where you can lay down, rest your eyes for 5 minutes, and do that as often as you need to if you're able to throughout the day. If you're not able to, if you're at work and it's just not possible, then try and do it when you get home from work. Just try and spend 5 or 10 minutes just lying down in a quiet room and try and give yourself just a little bit of time and space to allow your brain to do something with all of this that you're experiencing. And I find that sometimes just lying down for 5 or 10 minutes when I came home from work did kind of press a bit of a reset button, and it did help alleviate my symptoms in some way. So try and take short breaks throughout the day if you can, and hopefully that should help with some of the head pressure. Number 4. So number 4 is that lots of people report that their symptoms get better and then they feel worse again. So they may go through a period where they feel that they're improving and they're making steps towards their recovery, they're using neuroplasticity and they're doing all of the right things, they're really taking good care of themselves, maybe sticking to a routine with their vestibular therapist and they're doing all of the exercises. You could be doing everything possible for your recovery, and then all of a sudden you experience a setback and you don't know why. And guys, I've been there several times, not in the last sort of 2 years, but in the initial couple of years when I had triple PD, I experienced this a lot, and it was really frustrating because I felt like I'd sacrificed so much. I was really trying to cut back on things, say no to things, rest, meditate, eat good food, drink lots of water. I was doing all of that, and then suddenly I would just hit a really bad spell, and it kind of felt like taking 1 step forward and 10 steps back sometimes. So if that's you, that is really common as well, and I promise you that things will get better. If you're going through a rough patch at the moment and you don't know why, you don't always need a reason why. Sometimes you may be able to attribute it to a period of intense stress, maybe you've been ill or feeling run down, and that would all make sense to, if that did give you a bit of a symptom flare up, that would make sense. But you don't always need a reason why, and unfortunately, healing is not a linear process, and all I can say to you is to just try and learn to ride the wave and just trust that you will get through this bad spell. You will start to feel better again, and try not to lose that hope. Just try and take each moment as it comes and just try to appreciate the good things in your day when you do feel well, and you will come out the other side of that and you will be able to move forward and start to feel better again. Okay, so number 5 is that vestibular exercises may not have worked for you. And in my opinion, I do think that certain types of vestibular exercises will work for everybody, but I don't feel like the generic exercises that sometimes people get sent home with from their doctors are enough for some people, or that they're just not the right exercises. It could also be that you're not doing the exercises correctly, and I'm going to do a standalone video on vestibular exercises because I've got quite a lot to share with you on that subject. But just for the purpose of this video, if you've tried vestibular exercises and they haven't worked for you, then don't give up hope. There will be something that you can do. It could just be that you haven't found what that is yet, if you haven't found the right type of exercises. So vestibular exercises didn't work for me either, and it was really frustrating because it seemed that the vestibular rehab is the number 1 cause of treatment. So I felt that because that wasn't working for me, that the whole thing was a failure and that I wasn't going to get better from it. So also, I would say that equally there's the same amount of people that do report some benefit from using the vestibular exercises. So if that is you, continue to do them every day, do them often, stick to them, and I'm sure that you will continue to see some improvements. So just because there are some people that don't feel any benefit, there are still lots and lots of people that do report benefits. And guys, be patient. It can take some time for these exercises to work, so stick with it if you can. Number 6. So number 6 is that lots of people with triple PD usually feel better in the morning, and then they feel that their symptoms get progressively worse throughout the day. So if that's you, that is a completely common part of triple PD as well. So, what can you do about that? Well, again, try and take some short breaks later on in the day to try and recharge your batteries slightly. And also, if you have anything that's particularly challenging, maybe you need to go to a supermarket and that triggers your symptoms, or there's anything else that makes you feel a bit more dizzy, try to do that earlier in the morning rather than leaving it till later in the day when you're already feeling tired and overstimulated. But do it within your own capacity. So if there's something that's going to make you feel really unwell, then I would kind of advise maybe not doing it at all, or doing it in a way that is controlled for you, so that you're not doing too much or pushing through. But try to do it earlier in the morning when you feel better and feel more able to do something like that. But typically, so many people do report feeling good and feeling, sometimes people don't even have any symptoms at all in the morning, or very little symptoms at all. And then it gets progressively worse throughout the day. So yeah, that's definitely a really common part of triple PD as well. Okay, so finally, number 7 is visual disturbances. So lots of people report disturbances in their vision, whether that is light sensitivity, it could be that they're overstraining their eyes, or they could be having blurred vision. Maybe they feel like they're over relying on their eyes too much, so they're really straining their eyes. And it could be that you've maybe visited an optician and you've had your eyes checked, and I would urge you to do that if you haven't already. But lots of people come back and say that their eyes are perfectly fine. So typically what this is that the eyes are fine, and the signals that are going to the brain are becoming interrupted, or the brain is actually confusing the signals that are coming through. So there's not actually anything wrong with your eyes, it's the way that your brain is interpreting the signals and the information that it's getting back from the eyes. So I actually experienced a lot of light sensitivity. Lots of people also experience problems using computer screens and being in places where there are particularly bright or dim lights. And my advice to you would be try to manage those symptoms as best you can. So I used a privacy screen at work. So it's like a tinted screen that you can slot in front of your computer screen. And I had the brightness turned down on my computer. You can also get tints to go in your glasses if you wear glasses, or I used to wear sunglasses outside as well. So that really helped me to feel more normal. The more normal you can feel and manage your symptoms, the less you're actually thinking about triple PD. So that in itself really helped me to overcome triple PD, because I felt more normal when I had these sorts of things in place. So I would urge you to do the same, but guys, please get your eyes checked as well if you haven't already. So that's come to the end of my video today, guys. I hope that you can relate to maybe some of those 7 points that I've shared with you. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything else that you may have that you think is unusual, and I can try my best to answer that and let you know if that is typically a common part of triple PD or not. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope you find this video helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.